Welcome to this video. In this video, I will look at the psychology behind a good classroom game. If we look at games from the constructivist perspective that is behind all my videos, games are almost the perfect learning environment. They emphasize the central role of the child as an active learner, not as somebody who is receiving information from an adult. And the children learn through exploration, overcoming achievable challenges, making mistakes, and learning from these mistakes, and so construct their own meaningful interpretation of whatever they are learning. This is pure constructivism. But there are additional factors to consider, which I will look at here. This video will be heavily influenced by the ideas in the book Glued to Games: How Video Games Draw Us In and Hold Us Spellbound by Rigby and Ryan, which looks at the psychology of why video games are so engaging. My focus in this video will be on applying these ideas to the English as a foreign language classroom. The aim is to understand the elements that make video games so attractive for children and integrate these elements into lessons in a physical classroom. The ideas in Rigby and Ryan's book are underpinned by self-determination theory, which is based on rigorous research on motivation over the last 50 years, pioneered by DC and Ryan. According to self-determination theory, we are motivated to develop and change if three universal psychological needs are met: competence, connection, and autonomy. Rigby and Ryan suggest that games are most successful, engaging, and fun when they satisfy these three intrinsic needs. Competence. Competence refers to our innate desire to develop our abilities and gain mastery of new situations and challenges. We have a deep intrinsic desire to get better at things and overcome challenges. As Rigby and Ryan say, from the moment we're born, we naturally seek to gain mastery over ourselves and our environment, learning how things work by observing, exploring, and manipulating them, first through play and later through work, hobbies, sports, and a variety of activities. We see this intrinsic need energizing us from the very earliest ages, motivating children to stretch their abilities as they learn to crawl, stand, and walk. The truth is, there is a sheer joy that comes from mastering new challenges that is an inherent part of who we are, from birth straight into adulthood. What does this mean for classroom games? I think it means that for games to be engaging, they need to be challenging. They need to provide opportunities for children to puzzle things out and overcome problems. It is not enough for the teacher to just teach new words and patterns before playing a game, and then get the children to practice the new language while playing. It is more effective to provide children with the challenge of learning new words and patterns while immersed in the games. When games provide the children with challenges, they give them an opportunity to stretch to new levels of mastery, which, once achieved, satisfy their intrinsic need for competence. So the challenges in the games need to be achievable. Having achievable challenges also ensures that the children take them on positively. With a new class, we can start with gentle challenges, make sure the children handle them successfully, with our hints if necessary, and then gradually increase the difficulty of the challenges. So, over time, we build up the children's belief that they can and will succeed. Connection. Connection refers to our need to have meaningful connections with others. It is natural for us to seek out quality relationships simply for the intrinsic reward that comes from having a mutually supportive connection with others. As Rigby and Ryan say, humans inherently seek to be connected with others and feel that they are interacting in meaningful ways. This need for relatedness naturally occurs in all of us, requiring no external incentive. We are simply evolved to connect and feel like we belong. What does this mean for classroom games? I think it means that whether a game is engaging or not doesn't just depend on how interesting a particular game is, or whether the game contains challenges. It also depends on the children having meaningful connections with the other children or teacher they are playing with. Even a very simple game can become highly motivating if there are positive relationships with others who are playing. Playing in teams or playing as a whole class can foster meaningful connections between the children. Cooperative games are likely to lead to supportive connections between children. But competitive games can also provide a positive experience in terms of the connections between children. As Rigby and Ryan say, through competition, we contribute to the competence satisfaction of the other, and them to us, which creates the kind of meaningful and supportive connections that are a hallmark of relatedness. But when we feel our opponents are trying to tear us down as people through taunts, cheating, and mean-spirited play, our relatedness needs are thwarted. Autonomy. Autonomy refers to our innate desire to do things because we want to do them, not because we are controlled by circumstances or by other people. According to Rigby and Ryan, autonomy means that one's actions are aligned with one's inner self and values, that you feel that you are making the decisions and are able to stand behind what you do. One way to strengthen the children's feeling of autonomy is to do activities where they have more choices. This is easier to achieve in games than in most other activities. Children even make a lot of choices in many very simple games, such as when they choose a card in a concentration game, throw a sticky ball at a word of their choice on the board, or choose who to throw a ball to. We can also let the children choose which game to play. For a few years, I taught different groups of children one after the other in a community center. I used to arrive with a rucksack full of games, put them on the table, and let the children choose which game they wanted to play. The classes were small, so they all played the games together. Of course, when I planned the lessons, I worked out how to achieve the language targets of the lesson with each of the games. So it didn't really matter which game they played. But giving the children the choice of which games to play was wonderful for their motivation. But giving the children choices is not the only way to strengthen the children's feeling of autonomy. As Rigby and Ryan say, it is often when an individual has a sense of mission and purpose that they feel most autonomous, even though they may not perceive a lot of options or choices. And we feel autonomous even when choice doesn't exist, as long as we personally endorse the path we're on. Games provide an ideal platform for giving children a sense of purpose. Race games have finishing lines. Treasure hunts have a treasure to find. Hopscotch has squares to hop through. And whether or not the children feel they are doing what they want to do, and so endorse the game, depends very much on how we introduce the game in the first place. If we just tell the children what to do in a clear, autocratic way, the children are unlikely to have a strong feeling of autonomy. But if we draw the children into the game with mystery, or introduce it tentatively, as if we are discovering the game together with the children, they are much more likely to endorse the game, have a greater feeling of autonomy, and so be more motivated to play. An essential element. I think there is another essential element that is fundamental in determining whether anything is engaging. It determines whether a video game is engaging, and it also determines whether a classroom activity is engaging. Can you guess what that element is? It's a long word beginning with A. The first 3 letters are an insect. Can you guess? I'm introducing it in this way so as to build it up. I expect you have guessed. The element is anticipation. In a successful video game, a child is constantly anticipating what is going to happen next, and this draws her deeply into the game. The same applies to successful classroom games, and indeed, to any activity in the classroom. This is a dimension to teaching that teacher-centered methods generally neglect. When a teacher explains clearly, models clearly, demonstrates clearly, does repetition drills, tells the children what they are going to learn before teaching it, gives answers too soon, or in the case of games, teaches new words and patterns before playing a game, or teaches too clearly during the game, rather than giving hints, the teacher is not letting the children anticipate enough. Thank you very much for watching. In the next video, I will look at the role of the teacher in games.